welcome to another episode of LSVT Global's podcast, Think Big and Loud, where we share inspiring stories, expert insights, and engaging conversation, all designed to empower and uplift the lives of individuals with neurological conditions and those who love and support them. Today's episode features special guest Jonathan Miller, founder, president, and designer of U-Step Neurological Walking Aids. And my name is Beth Peterson, and I'll be your host for today's episode. So, Jonathan has a very inspiring story, and I don't want to take away too much of what he's going to tell you, but he designed U-Step Neurological Walking Aids inspired by his mother's own struggle with a rare muscular dystrophy. And he wanted to enhance mobility and independence for individuals with neurological disorders such as Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, and stroke. With over 30 years of experience in creating innovative mobility solutions, Jonathan has led U-Step to become a leader in neurological walking aids, helping thousands regain their confidence and stability. And our company, LSVT Global, has a strong partnership with U-Step, as there is a natural synergy between U-Step's mission and the individuals they serve, and our own mission and the communities we support. The U-Step really is a top tier tool for helping people with advanced Parkinson's to move more, move better, and move more safely. My physical and occupational therapy colleagues say it's the best advanced walker for promoting amplitude of step length, posture, and reducing freezing through its intelligent design. And it can help patients going through LSVT BIG to walk with better posture, longer steps, safer turns, starts and stops, safer sit to stands from the walker seat, and a faster, safer gait. All things that are worked on in the LSVT BIG protocol. So, Jonathan, thank you for joining us today. I'm excited to discuss your journey with U-Step.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah. And can you begin by just giving us an overview of what the U-Step walker is?
Sure, of course. The U-Step is an advanced rolling walker. It was specifically designed for people with severe walking conditions, which is very common with neurological conditions. So it has three major advantages. The first one is the stability of the design. The U-step has a base to it, a U-shaped base that surrounds the individual. They're braced in front, back, side to side. And what's also nice about having a base is we concentrate the weight of the product in the base. So about 75% of the weight is in the base. So it gives it a very, very low center of gravity, which is excellent for preventing falls. In addition to it being very stable, it's extremely maneuverable. People who need an advanced walker and they're using it all the time, they need to use it in their home as well as outdoors. Most rolling walkers were actually designed for outdoor use, but the U-Step is a hybrid. It's really for indoor and outdoor use. The actual turning circle of the U-Step is about 2.5 feet. The more common rollator, the four-wheel walker with two handbrakes, you need 4 to 5 feet to turn with them. So the turning circle of a U-step is about 40% smaller, which makes it much more functional for using it in kitchens and washrooms and hallways. So it's excellent for use all the time. The third major advantage of the U-step are the control features. The first one is the reverse brake. The U-step doesn't move until you squeeze a handbrake. So one of the most common times people fall is when they go to stand up. Well, when they go to stand up, either from the U-step, there's a seat on the U-step, or from a chair to the U-step is braced. It doesn't roll. So they can be assured that it will be safe for them to stand up with. So that's the reverse brake. And then to release the brake, all you do is squeeze either the left or right handbrake, and it allows it to roll. So it's very safe. And if a person feels it's rolling too fast for them, all they need to do, or they want to stop, they just let go of the handbrake and it stops. The other control feature is the tension control feature. One of the most common problems with rolling walkers is they roll too fast for people. I remember many years ago when I just presented the product at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale that a therapist told me that they just sent a patient home the day before with a rollator, and the patient came back the next day and said, I can't control this. It just rolls too fast for me.
Mm,
So we, on the main turning wheels of the U-step, there's an adjustment where you can dial up resistance on the main turning wheels, and in doing so it gives you a lot more control.
mm.
So the U-step has greater stability, greater maneuverability, and greater control than other walkers.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you. That's really helpful to get the picture in our mind of what it does, and it is very innovative.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I wanted to get into, I understand that your mother had mobility issues and she was a large part of your motivation for creating the U-Step walker. Can you kind of walk us through the process of why and how you created a better walker for her?
She was my only motivation.
Mm,
My mother, she was born with a muscular dystrophy called Charcot-Marie Tooth. It's not very common. There's about 10,000 cases in the US. Um, but anyways, when she was about 60, she was very much losing her independence. She was only able to walk, let's say, holding onto a wall or someone's arm. And it got to the point where she realized that this wasn't a life for her. She was very sharp, my mother. So she ended up going to one of the top um, local regional medical centers called Evanston Hospital in Evanston, Illinois. And she worked with physiatrists, she worked with physical therapists, she worked with an orthotist, and they all worked as a team to try to get her up and walking safely. Well, they fit her with $2,000 or $3,000 of leg braces, a walker, and 10 weeks of therapy. In the end, she wasn't doing any better,
mm,
and she was very frustrated and upset with it. And I remember, I think the physiatrist said, "Well, we can get you a wheelchair or a scooter," and and I realized at that point that maybe there needed to be more products, more rolling walkers or advanced walkers for people with severe conditions like my mother's.
mm,
I come from a family of engineers. So you have a problem, you make a product to solve it. So I tried to envision what would work for her, and I was trying to envision if she walked well holding on to someone's arm, how could I approximate that? And that's when I came up with the idea of the base, the U-shaped base, which surrounds her. So
mhm,
she's braced left and right, and front and back, and then just raised handlebars similar to other walkers up. And and I decided to just prototype one. So I didn't have the tools or welding equipment to do it out of metal, so I knew how to work with wood. Took wood shop in high school, so I actually made a very primitive looking base out of wood and extended the handlebars and put a braking system on it, and it got awful ugly. But I brought it up. I did this in my mother's basement, and I brought it upstairs for her to try. And lo and behold, she says this works for me.
wow.
She felt like it really helped her walk, and so
Mhm,
uh, realized that I was onto something. So
mhm,
then I actually sought out someone who could do more of a professional job. So I found a tool and die person, and he helped me form an aluminum frame, and we retrofitted with wheels and brakes, and it was much more of a presentable walker, and she was able to walk again. The U step was helping her just right then and there. I remember uh, and then she went to her internist walking with this walker, and the internist was shocked by it because he was so surprised how well she was doing with
wow.
it. He knew how she struggled with her walking, and he's the one who coined the term U step.
Huh.
He because he saw it had a U shaped base. He says U step. And so I'll give him credit for that, Dr. Weiss. But anyways, and then he said to me, he contacted me, he said a lot of people would benefit from this
Mm,
product. So I studied business. That's my actual background. I have ability in engineering, but it's not what I studied
mm,
in college. I studied business and marketing. So, but anyways, I decided that, well, maybe it's something to consider.
mm.
So, and that's when I uh, went on um, the journey of making the U step for everyone. Yeah,
Wow, that's really neat. So everything kind of in your environment led you to this product. It's like you were made to make these. That's really an inspiring
that's
story.
it's right. It's
Mm,
a family of engineers.
yeah.
I always did want to start a business. That was
Okay.
something I did want to do,
Mm,
and I, for all the right reasons, designed it for my
yeah.
mother, and realized that it would help other people. So yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It just came together like that.
Yeah, that's really incredible. Well, and so I know you've innovated more and more as you've gone on with the product. So what were some of the key innovations you incorporated that really set it apart from traditional walkers?
Well, I spoke earlier just about the some of the features of the walker, the stability, the maneuverability, and the control features. But 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 as far as our walker is used a lot with Parkinson's patients, just like LSVT is all for
Mhm.
Parkinson's. Um, and what I remember, I was at the University of Pennsylvania, and I was speaking with someone. Her name was Jane Wright. She worked with the information and referral center over there with Dr. Hertig and uh, Dr. Hertig. It's been a few years. Um, anyways, and she said that that the U step is great in so many ways, but is there any way you can address the freezing issue with Parkinson's? That is there anything you could do to improve on the freezing for people with Parkinson's? So the U step was great at preventing their falls, and they did walk well, but still, and she was right, because we did a survey among our customers, and we found that it was that improved their posture. The U step helped them stand up straight. The U step helped prevent their falls. And but when it came to freezing, about 60% said it helped them with freezing. So whereas we had more like 90, 95% in many other categories. So I did look into that. And there was a doctor named Timothy Callahan. He was working at the University of Rochester, and he wrote about using lasers to help break freezing episodes with Parkinson's. So, and and in a footnote at the bottom, he said, for our study, we used just a laser pointer. He said it might work better if you stretch that out into a line.
Hmm.
And we tested that, and we started to make a product similar to what he said. And that was the beginning of developing cues for people with U step. For the U step, we enhance the product. Now we call it the cue. It has both the visual cue, which is the laser. It projects a red line on the floor right in front of the person that while they're walking, and then an audio cue, which is kind of like a metronome, and that's also helpful for people with Parkinson's. The visual cue, the laser is great for initiating, and the audio cue is also helpful in regulating their gait pattern.
Hmm.
So the two together actually are very helpful. Of the cues, the laser is a stronger cue, but the audio cue does help also. So that's unique. That was something we designed. Um, to it. You know, the Q is the only thing that isn't covered by Medicare. We got the U step is the only neurological walker that's covered by Medicare.
Okay.
So it's great for anyone who needs it, whether
Mhm.
it's mostly we use it for Parkinson's, but brain injury and stroke and MS, it does get covered for things of that sort. Okay.
Great. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. That is again, innovation keeps coming to mind when I hear about the product and how you've continued to work on it. So that's great to hear. And then
Thank
how has it evolved to address different neurological conditions since you made that first model?
So the U step was originally designed for my mother, as I said, and she had her limitations. But people with Charcot-Marie-Tooth, they kind of present similar to someone with MS, which is they have maybe their lower limbs are weak and their upper body is relatively strong. Um, but there are many other neurological conditions that would maybe benefit from the U step, but maybe the setup isn't ideal. So I remember one day we had a young man walk in to our company where we're just based in the Chicago area. And he was sent to us by, I believe it was a Northwestern University. And he had a brain injury, unfortunately from a car accident. And he tried the U step and he did okay with it, but I could tell that he probably would benefit from something that gave him a little bit more upper support. So
Okay.
many walkers have platforms where they rest their forearms in it and they use their hands to squeeze brakes. So I told him, I said, you know what? We don't make them now. I said, why don't let's work on a set for you and see if it helps you. So I said, come back in a few months, and that's what we did. Is he came back and we tried it with him, and then we made some adjustments from there. And that was the beginning of making platforms for people, which are excellent for brain injury. There are people with Parkinson's who benefit from platforms. There are people who have proprioception issues where they're stooped over, and so that platforms can stand them upright. It's not necessary for everyone, but that the platforms do benefit some people with Parkinson's like that. Um, Camptocormia is a term I've heard in the Parkinson's community, which is also in that area, but they could benefit from the platforms. And then there are people who have weaknesses in their hands. It could be a movement disorder, maybe like Huntington's, but it could also be a non-movement disorder. It could be like a MS or an ALS. So we have a press down um, handlebar system that they just press down on it instead of squeezing a handbrake, and that's much easier to operate the braking system. It's So for someone who can't squeeze with their hands, they could use the press down version. The
Mhm.
one thing about the U step is the base stays the same with all our products. It's just a difference of switching the upper section. So we can go from standard to platform to press down without any tools. We designed the U step
Oh,
that it's very easy to switch from one to the other.
wow. Well, I'm going to display a slide that shows those three that you're talking about so we get a little visual of what you're saying. Okay,
Yeah,
so you're saying it can go into the different models.
correct. So the U step, it's a series of walkers. So we wanted to make a product. I mean, the hallmark of our product is the base. The base is extremely stable, and it's a great platform to start with. So we started with the standard one you see in the middle, and then the next version was the platform, which is great for stroke. Uh, Brain injury, again, people who are stooped over, and then the one on the right, that's the press down version. You could see the handle at the top. The way that one got started, it was from a physical therapist from Kaiser Permanente, and she called me and said, for some of our patients, we actually rotate the handbrake upside down and they press it down. And so I said, well, we could do a more elegant thing than that,
Yeah.
than you doing that, but it was a very good idea. almost all our ideas are from patients or from therapists.
Mhm.
So it's one of the nice things about having a small company is we get excellent feedback.
Mhm.
So again, almost every feature on the use step I could tie back to someone's suggestion. So
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, you really take that feedback to heart and you say, "Okay, well, let's make that happen."
that's right.
That's great. Yeah. And then so I understand that you have sold over 100,000 walking stabilizers, which is amazing to me. And what do you think has been the most rewarding aspect of seeing your invention help so many people?
Um, I think I'll just share you a few stories.
Okay.
So I remember sitting in the office. I didn't always answer the phone calls. I had many hats to wear, but sometimes answering the phones was what needed to be done. And I had a man call, and he said, "I want you to know that I'm going home." And he explained. He said, "I've been in this retirement facility for a while, and the reason because I couldn't be independent in my house. But after getting the U step, I'm independent." And he says, "Because of it, I'm able to go home." And he says, "I just want you guys to know that." And that story blew me away
Yeah.
when he told me that story. Another story was there was a woman living in Europe. I forgot what country, and her father was living in Singapore, and he had advanced Parkinson's. And so she contacted our company all the way in the US. She's in Europe, we're in the US, he's in Singapore, and she ordered a U step for him. The shipping cost was more than the cost of the product. I remember that. But he wouldn't get out of bed. He was so depressed with his Parkinson's that he just had given up in life. And so we sent it to her to all the way to Singapore, and he tried it, and he got up, and he started to walk, and he was so happy. And she says it was the best Christmas present ever.
Oh. Mhm.
So, and when he said that, it reminds me of one of the movement disorder specialists I've met. Um, she's at the university. She's in Iowa. Lynn Struck, and I once met her at one of the neural conferences, and she said, "Grandma doesn't need a new sweater for Christmas. Grandma needs a U step."
That's
It was
good.
very funny when she said that. But anyways, to see how many people we've helped, um, we just had an initiative where we asked customers to send in videos of them using our product because customers like to see other people using the product. We
Mhm.
could talk about it, we could talk about the features, but they want to see real people using the product. And one thing which surprised us and was how many people we were pulling out of wheelchairs. And I didn't realize that. I thought we were really getting people who tried other walkers and they
Mm.
weren't doing so well with them and they switched to the U step. That was initially what I remember who our customers were. But what I found today is that we're pulling a tremendous number of people out of wheelchairs. It turns out that there are rollators. So those are four-wheel walkers with handbrakes, and then you go to, let's say, a wheelchair or a scooter, right? The U step falls in the middle of those two. So
Mm.
someone who needs more stability, more control features, the U step is the right tool for that situation. So I'm happy that we're able to provide therapists with another tool to do their job, and that's what
Mhm.
the U step is.
Mhm. Well, and with that, do you know how physical and occupational therapists are incorporating it into some of their treatment plans?
It works well with their treatment plans. I mean, if you have like a Parkinson's program like LSVT BIG, you you are trying to get people, like for example, to take longer steps to increase their stride. So what's nice about the U step is it's very stable. So almost any patient they bring into their program who they can get to walk we'll be able to walk with the U step. With another product that might not be the case.
Mm,
So the U step works with almost all the patients that will come through. The second thing is the laser on the cueing module is
mm,
very helpful because if you turn the laser on, it projects a line on the floor for the patient, and you can actually adjust the line, how far it extends in the front. Okay, you don't
mm,
want it to extend too far in the front, but you could move it forward some. And anyways, so it becomes a goal for a patient. You
mhm,
could say, I want you to step to the line, and
mhm,
it's actually very good for increasing stride. So that's a nice thing about the U step, and it's fluid. It rolls with you, so um, one of the biggest problems with other walkers is they end up starting and stopping it, which is the
mm,
worst thing for people who have freezing issues. So the U
mhm,
step is fluid, and again, it reduces freezing.
mhm,
In addition, I think that let's say, for example, they feel that a patient would benefit from the U step, and they would want to consider them getting one for their home. Then they would be able to make sure to adjust it right with the right tension, the right height, maybe a different upper section, maybe the platforms, or maybe the queuing module or not. But that's something they can always do and set it up for a patient in house. And also, it would be helpful for training purposes. So let's a lot of times the family members come in. So right there then and there they could show them how to fold it, they could show them
mm,
um, how, how to change the batteries of the queuing module if needed, whatever the case is. But
mhm,
they'll develop a comfort with the product. So it's very helpful to have
mhm,
the U step available to work with these programs such as
mhm,
LSVT BIG.
Yeah, great. I mean, I know our team certainly loves incorporating it when needed and have seen such great results with it. And it's why we invited you to the show. They said, oh, we have to get Jonathan Miller on here. His product is incredible. We need to make sure people know about it. So, yeah, works really
I
well.
just thought of something I wanted to share with you is
Yeah.
when I when I when I first came out with the product, I remember I was showing it around to different rehab centers, and I kept hearing, "Boy, this would be good for my Parkinson's patients." And at the time, I really didn't know
Mm,
um, who to focus on and all. But to this day, I mean, it was when I first went to many of the medical centers in the Chicago area, which is where we're based, and and therapists immediately did see that
mm,
from seeing the design that it would, and that
mhm,
has been the case, that it's been great for Parkinson's. Yeah.
mhm. Oh, that's great to hear. Um, Now, I've heard a lot about the successes of this. I'm curious if there were any obstacles you ran into bringing the U-Step to market and how you managed to overcome them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, any startup, any new product, anything you try to bring to market is very challenging. Again, I do have a degree in business and marketing, and I'd never studied. It's funny today. Now they have programs for entrepreneurship. They didn't have that when I went to college,
Mm,
but they gave us enough tools to at least maybe come up with, how to start a new venture. But anyways, I think the hardest part for me was what I just brought up before was who to market the U step to.
mm,
I mean, the U step has many advantages over walkers. And I remember meeting with therapists, and when they were like, well, who do we recommend it for? I mean, we're not going to recommend it for everyone. That
mm,
and they that really and then I realized that, and I was meeting with a lot of general physical therapists who saw the gamut of conditions,
mm,
and so um, what what like I said before, I did hear many therapists say this would be great for my Parkinson's patients, and then I decided to send some press releases to some of the Parkinson's associations out there, and one of them wrote an article about the product.
mm,
and it was the United Parkinson Foundation, which doesn't exist anymore. It merged. And anyways, that day I received dozens of calls from
Huh.
individuals and many orders. And that was the beginning. And I remember the big break I had was when one of those customers walked into Abraham Lieberman's office. He was the head of the National Parkinson's Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman walked into his office walking with a U step, and he knew how poorly her walking was generally. And he was like, "What is that?" And that day, his office called my office and said, "Send me 100 brochures." And that was kind of the beginning of finding our market. So
Mm-hmm.
we did very much focus on Parkinson's in the beginning. We've extended it out because the U step is good for other neural conditions,
Mm-hmm.
but that was the big break. But I think the second big challenge was just financing the startup.
Mm.
Um, I I worked for a few years in new products marketing after college, and so I saved up some money. And when I decided to try this venture, I went through about $40,000 of my own money, and I was out. And then I got an SBA loan, thank God, and I went through that $60,000 pretty quickly. And I was still not. I was selling the product, but still I needed more capital.
Mm.
And then I went to credit cards, and my wife is pretty to this day upset with me over that. But I racked up about $40,000 in credit card bills, and then but I showed the then one of my customers. She said to me, "How's it going?" I said, "Well, it's going well, but I need to raise more capital." And she says, "Oh, you should speak to my husband." And and I ended up speaking with him. I had a meeting with him, and he was what we call an angel investor, and he put money into my business, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I financed the business.
Wow.
So it's you have to have a stomach for risk when you do something like this, but thank God it worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's great. Yeah, I really love hearing your story here. Well, and as we close out, I know people in the audience might be interested in how they can get one. So, how do patients and therapists get a use step?
So, well, if they wanted to try it, we have well over 1,000 samples out in the US, all over the country. So you can contact us and see if there's one in your area.
Okay.
Um, we also, people can order one, and it comes up with a 2 week trial. So they could try it in their own home. It comes all assembled. You just need to adjust the height and it's good to go. And anyways, so there's a 2 week trial, and if for any reason they aren't satisfied, they're welcome to return it. If they do keep it and they do have Medicare, we can file for them to get them a reimbursement. Um, but also, uh, we do provide samples to neurological centers and physical therapists who work with neural patients. So that's something that many therapists and neurological centers have them, but if they don't, on our website they can actually request them.
Okay.
So
And
so we make it easy.
yeah, can you just let us know? Is it www.ustep.com? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect.
www.ustep.com. It's just the name
Okay.
of the
Mhm.
product.com, ustep.com.
Okay, perfect. And I'll put that in the podcast description for anyone listening so you can click on their website. And I'm going to close. I know you sent us a special video that I want everyone to see. Is there anything else you wanted to say before I get into that video?
Well, just one thing is in the video in the beginning, it says the gift of walking. And I I think that's what this is all about. I mean, obviously, a business needs to make a profit to pay its employees and whatnot, but we're in the business to really help people walk in. And the fact that it's like people who have lost their ability to walk can get up and walk people say it's a godsend. We hear it all the time. So in this video, uh, the story of the video is I've got I've got a warehouse manager who has a little bit of a band, and he decided to write a song about the company, and we all thought it was humorous. So um, we decided to take some of our customer videos and have them show with the song. So that that's what it's all about. So many of these people in the video actually weren't walking. So it's really amazing to see all these people walking, and these are not models, these are our real customers. So I hope you enjoy the video.
Oh, great. And just a note for those who might just be listening to it, there's going to be a link to the video and the description too. So I would encourage you to come back and click that link and watch that video because it is really powerful. I will say it's a catchy tune also. So if you want to stay on and you're just listening, you might be entertained just by the tune. So I'm going to go ahead and play that video. It's about 3 minutes long.
Jonathan Miller, a lot like Ben Stiller. He's gonna help you walk again. Mobility is all I see. Won't you show me how you can get up again? I like the way you step, I like the way you move, I like the joy in your eyes now that you can go. You've been feeling low, but we will take you high. My, oh my, I like the way you step. We took people out of wheelchairs, but you don't advertise that. Reverse braking, easy turning. Did I mention the special attachments? I like the way you step, I like the way you move, I like the joy in your eyes as you go. You've been feeling low, but we will take you high. My, oh my, I like the way you step. We took people out of wheelchairs, but you don't advertise that. Reverse braking, easy turning. Did I mention the special attachments? I like the way you step, I like the way you move, I like the joy in your eyes as you go. Been feel low, but low. Did I mention the special attachments? I like the way you step, better than Ben Stiller. Saving the world, taking you for a whirl. We just wanted to say, love the way you step. Better than Miller, better than Ben Stiller. Saving the world, taking you for a whirl. We just wanted to say, love the way you step, love the way you step.
All right. Well, very cool. I mean, that video gives me chills watching it. It's a lot of lives that you've changed.
Yeah, I like the first man. I found out he hadn't walked in almost 10 years. And he came to this facility, this retirement facility, in a wheelchair, and the therapist got him up and walking with a U step, and he stopped using the wheelchair. And there was a woman using the platforms there. She hadn't walked in 25 years.
Oh my
These
God.
are crazy stories. I mean,
Yeah.
they're hard to believe, but again, it's a great tool for people with severe walking conditions, as
Yeah.
you commonly work with LSVT. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, well, thank you. I'm just going to give some credits here at the end. So, a big thank you to you, Jonathan. He's the founder, president, and designer of U-Step Neurological Walking Aids. And we have our own catchy tune that you're hearing in our podcast, and that's Think Loud for Parkinson's by Kindred Spirit and Leo Sayer. And the song and video were inspired by LSVT Loud speech treatment and were developed to raise awareness for Parkinson's worldwide. The song's available for purchase on iTunes and Amazon, with proceeds being split between the UK charity Cure Parkinson's and the Parkinson's Foundation in the US. We have a super helpful production team that helps make the podcast possible, and that's CS Design Studios. If you're interested in learning more about LSVT Loud Speech Therapy or LSVT BIG Physical or Occupational Therapy, or to locate therapists in your area, we encourage you to go to our website, lsvtglobal.com. And if you're interested in learning more about the U-Step or to request a trial, you can visit U-Step's website at www.ustep.com. And we encourage you to click the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast so that you never miss an episode. And we look forward to thinking big and loud with you again next time. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.